Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. China has accused NATO of slandering its peaceful development after alliance leaders warned about systemic challenges coming from Beijing. NATO said that China's actions, including expanding its nuclear arsenal, threatened rules-based international order. It was the first time NATO had placed China at the centre of its agenda. In its response, Beijing said its defence policy was defensive in nature and urged NATO to devote more of its energy to promoting dialogue. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has called for a full investigation into suspected crimes against humanity during the Philippines' deadly war on drugs. The ICC opened a preliminary probe into the drugs war back in 2018. Thousands of civilians are known to have died under the campaign. National data acknowledges more than 6,000 deaths, but international rights groups have long warned the figure could be far higher. A spokesperson for President Duterte said his government would not cooperate with any ICC investigation. A trade deal between the UK and Australia has been agreed between Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his counterpart, Scott Morrison.
I'm not going to exaggerate the overall increase in our respective GDPs that will flow from this, but I think it's more important politically and symbolically. We're opening up.
The agreement is the first trade deal to be built from scratch since the UK left the EU. It is seen as an important step towards the UK joining a wider Asia-Pacific free trade agreement. Downing Street said the new pact meant British products such as cars, Scotch whisky, biscuits and ceramics would be cheaper to sell to Australia. A French court has ordered Ikea to pay a fine of €1 million after the Swedish furniture chain was found guilty of spying on staff in France. The French subsidiary was found to have used private detectives and police officers to collect private data on staff. The illegal surveillance covered about 400 people. The former CEO of Ikea in France, Jean-Louis Bellot, was given a 2-year suspended jail term and a €50,000 fine. At least 15 people have been killed in a suicide bombing at an army camp in the Somali capital Mogadishu. Officials at the hospital confirmed the dead were killed in an attack at a checkpoint outside the General Degeban military training camp. A reporter at the scene said the bomber, posing as a military trainee, walked into the army camp in the Wadajar district and detonated explosives strapped to his waist. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Thousands of treasure seekers have flocked to a village in South Africa, believing the area could contain diamonds. The rush comes after a man dug up a crystal-like stone in an open field and put out word of the discovery. The stones haven't been analysed by geological experts yet, and authorities have asked people on site to leave so that a proper investigation can be carried out. The provincial government has described this activity as illegal mining. A massive industrial fire at a chemical plant in Illinois will be allowed to burn for days in order to avoid having chemically polluted water from firefighting efforts run off into a nearby river. The plant, which manufactures oil-based lubricants, sits 300 metres from the Rock River, and there is a concern that the water used to put out the massive blaze could run off into that river. Crews have stopped their water suppression efforts and will allow the blaze to consume the chemicals at the site over what they believe will take several days. The Danish midfielder, who suffered cardiac arrest on Saturday, has posted a picture saying he is fine under the circumstances. Christian Eriksen collapsed during the game with Finland and had to be resuscitated on the pitch. Eriksen has since thanked fans from around the world for their support. He says he still has to go through some examinations at the hospital, but that he feels okay. The Inter Milan playmaker is now in a stable condition in a hospital in Copenhagen. And finally, China has built a Mars camp in Lenghu town in the northwest Qinghai province to simulate the environmental conditions of Mars. The Red Rock area has been dubbed the most Martian place on Earth, as experts claimed that the landscape, rocks, sand and even the temperatures are similar to those on the Red Planet. Launched in 2019, the base is designed for space enthusiasts and professionals to get a better understanding of life on Mars. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.